Where are we? Okay. Welcome everybody to another episode here for DS9 at 9ish. Trucking our way through season 2, everybody. This is season 2, episode 23. Crossover is over, but we are just getting started talking all things Mirror Universe here. I am Jeff Mader, brought here with my brother Dave Mader. We'll bring him in now, and we also have the tag team couple of Kevin and Ashley Millard. So we are all three, all four of us, I guess, here. 3 boxes.
3 boxes, 4 people. Yep.
4 boxes, 3 people. That should
4 people.
That sounds like a bad YouTube video. But but we're here to talk about the crossover. We'll just get our first. This is the first Mirror Universe episode, guys, for DS9. This is the first one we've encountered. They're going to do more, but this was the first introduction. Some say the best. I know Dave is on that train. He thinks it's the best DS9 Mirror Universe episode. Dave, what about this episode do you like so much?
I like how it sets everything up in the Mirror Universe. It's a big catch-up episode in terms of finding out where the Mirror Universe is at.
Right.
After the first introduction of it, because Next Generation didn't do anything with the Mirror Universe. So
lazy.
But they bring in Kirk and they talk about Kirk and everything that did happen and how much of a profound effect it had on their side of things. And I think it also does more to set up kind of how the status quos compare, because you have Kira's counterpart in the attendant in the station commander, but Sisko's also there and O'Brien's also there and Odo's there. So there's more direct correlation with the station crew in this episode than there is maybe in any of the other Mirror Universe stuff that they do later on.
Yeah, well, the station in the Mirror Universe looks a lot like it does back in time in the real universe during the Terok Noor days. So like they just kind of darken everything, and I actually thought the way that the episode was shot tonight was really, really cool. So this is 2 weeks in a row. I think we've had great direction for a Star Trek episode. But we'll bring in Kevin and Ashley. Guys, what about this episode stood out for you? Did you love Bashir, and why? Yes or yes?
I did love Bashir.
Yes, but yeah. Bashir is amazing. I love the opening, Bashir and Kira in the runabout. It's gold right there.
Yeah, he's not annoying enough to the point where she won't let him talk to her, but he is still like, she firmly lets him know how annoying he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she just wants to sit there and meditate while Bashir is doing his huffing and puffing, and he's picking different Bajoran music, and he's trying to impress her. And Kira's having none of it.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna be friends like O'Brien and me, and she's like, I don't fucking.
She's like, O'Brien didn't like him much either at first, but you'll see. And then then the best line is, well, I think you should stick to Dax. He's like, what? Oh, you thought I wanted to bang you? No, I don't want to bang you, but I would.
Unless, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
She's like, are you hitting on me? He's like, no, but is that an option?
Do you want me to hit on you?
Like, if you do, I will entertain it. I hadn't considered it yet, but
yeah. and then when he's talking to Mirror O'Brien later, and he's like, I'm best friends with the other O'Brien, with your other counterpart on my side, and O'Brien is like, you?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, we're best friends. We go kayaking. We shoot guns in the holodeck.
They're not doing that really yet, are they?
No.
They have gotten drunk together. So
yes.
So they've had some fun.
They've had some moments, but they're not best friends. Like, if watching these episodes in order like this has taught me that this is a lie. This episode, because when you watch this episode out of context, you go, yeah, that's right, but it's not true yet.
No, not yet.
At least not that we've seen.
Yeah.
Or it's an exaggeration, at least.
Yeah, we're not seeing every day what they're doing after they're off work. We're not seeing the off time.
We can only go by what they show us on the show.
If him and O'Brien hung out once, I imagine Bashir would say, "That's my best friend."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Bashir would. Yeah. Maybe Bashir's not lying in his mind.
Wait,
I just
he's just Bashir.
but we saw that last week in last week's episode too, when Garrick wouldn't talk to him. He's like, "But we're friends," and Garrick is like, "We have lunch once a week."
Yeah.
like we're friends. Like, come on, man.
Like, I guess that meant nothing, did it, Garrick? You know? He's like, yeah, it did mean nothing.
I used to hate Bashir, but he's one of my favorite characters now, just because I have a more of an appreciation for who he is and who he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I did notice that in this episode that Bashir, like they obviously use Bashir a lot in episodes where they want like a good actor to kind of explain what's going on or kind of like react to the situation he's been placed in, and they use him a lot in those situations because he is a really good like everyman's actor. Like you really can, whatever reason, connect with him. I think they like, because everybody's been made fun of. Everybody's felt desperate. Everybody has felt the way Bashir feels, I think, on the station. And as much as we laugh at him, I think we've all been there. We've all been like, you know, trying to make friends with people, and it's like kind of hard, and your personality may not mesh with theirs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think he blends into that stereotype really, really well.
I've never really tried to have empathy for Julian Bashir before, but now I do. Thank you, Jeff.
But he also had a good moment in this episode when he's eating with the Terrans on the station. He realizes, like, when he gives his food away, he has that moment that Kira says earlier that he's been privileged and he needs to know that. And I think he has that moment in this episode, and he played that moment really well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ashley, because I was going to bring that up, that Kira says not to him, but to, I believe, herself, the other Kira Nerys, the mirror Kira Nerys, that, you know, please don't kill him, he's a privileged Terran, and, you know, killing him won't get you anything, or, you know, she's just trying to protect him. But that does say something about how she feels about him or thinks about him. And I think a lot of other people do too. He's like the dweeby kid that's kind of a know-it-all and is there because he's super smart, and he's just kind of annoying. Like, he knows all, you know, he really took the time to listen to all the Bajoran opera since he arrived. Like, who does that? You know,
Torch Land,
you know, stuff like that, where it's just like, geez, you're a bit much. That's kind of what Bashir is, I think, in a lot of ways.
I call you Nerys. She says, I guess.
and he's like, Julian, say it. Julian.
Yeah. I love what he said when he says, Chief O'Brien had trouble with it too. Just saying his name.
Just say his name. Yeah. He's like, go ahead, do it. And she does it too. And she's like, Julian. Oh, it felt yucky coming out of her mouth. She was. It's like, we don't want it. That means you're a friend. We want to keep you in the job.
Workplace
professional, workplace proximity.
But that's the nature of space travel. You get put on these like shuttle missions or runabout missions where you have to talk to the other person in the cockpit for X amount of time. By the way, they got from that station to the wormhole. The whole ending of this episode is trash.
Yeah, trash. They ran out of time.
Yeah,
they're like,
but they had to wrap it up quick because.
Yeah, it does not hold up. It doesn't because you're like, whatever, they got home and it's fine. But it's also the way they do it doesn't make any sense. The mirror universe in general doesn't make sense, and so you have to suspend this. The
turn of Cisco and his buddies to help them out, and the one thing I really do love about this episode though is that the stakes feel real. Like, it feels like, especially once Quark gets murdered. You're like, oh shit. You're like, oh, so Bashir could get killed here, or Kira,
Odo died, right?
And Odo dies in the mirror universe. Like, go ahead, Kevin.
That's what I like about all of these about the mirror universe in Deep Space Nine is people die all the time.
Yeah, and they never come back. Like, Quark's done in the mirror universe. I think Cisco will be killed in the next mirror universe.
This is Odo. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Odo also, he never comes back in the mirror universe. He was one of a kind. Don't you realize that?
Well, they do actually.
So it's interesting.
He
that-
should have said, "We have another one. Don't worry about it."
We have one. We can replace it.
And apparently, all you need to do is fire a phaser at him, and that'll be about it for Odo. That's what you'll
you
get.
kill a changeling. Yeah, one phaser fire. Like, and it's Bashir that does it.
But that's not
Yeah.
how a changeling that gets hit with a phaser in our universe later on. That's not how they die. They don't explode.
I know
like
what to
that.
tell you.
They changed the graphics. Yeah,
Like,
they're
at one
like,
point, Odo got hit by a rock and was knocked out. Remember that?
do you know what? I think they were probably like, let's stick with CG on this because, like, if you go back to that image, Dave, I'm guessing this was messy to clean up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
They're like, well, he's a goo, so if you kill him, he'll just turn into a big exploding goo.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're like, all right, so we just got a big water balloon and blow it up, and it looks like that's what they did.
Yeah, you put water balloon full of brown indiscriminate liquid, and you'll be fine.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Cisco in this episode. I brought him up earlier, but like Kevin and Ashley, do you like the Mirror Universe Cisco? Do you think like it's appropriate for his character? I don't know. There's something that rubs me the wrong way with his Mirror Universe counterpart.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's the character or the acting, but he's not my favorite Mirror Universe character.
I just don't think he's having as much fun as like obviously Nana Visitor is with her character, and I don't know. Like there's just I don't know. Yeah,
I like it. I like him better when they replace Mirror Universe Cisco and Prime Cisco has to act like Mirror
Follow up to
Universe
this
Cisco.
episode.
Yeah.
That's a great episode.
Right.
A great performance.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. I tend to disagree though. Like I think that he's actually enjoying himself quite a bit in this episode, Avery Brooks. I think he has that whole moment where he just laughs in Kira's face about why would I put myself in danger for you? And
She'll have my head.
she'll have my head. And
The way he says that line's great.
and he laughs about Garrick. He's like, Garrick's always tried to kill the intendant. Like, whatever. It does like get out of
Yeah.
here. And but she turns it on him at the end of the scene where she says to him, you know, you're no less a victim than anyone else here, even though you sort of have this plate, you have a certain level of privilege within this society. You're still sort of you're a slave to this.
Yeah, and Bashir also, I think, a scene later is has the same sentiment toward O'Brien. He's like, if you don't see that you're already dead, you know, then I can't help you, kind of thing. You know, pretty much the Prime Universe's opinion of the Mirror Universe is that this is, you know, indentured servitude, you know, for pretty much everybody except a couple people. You know,
Well, I think it's a recurring theme of this Mirror Universe. I like when I came to like an epiphany tonight. Well, what's the Mirror Universe about, and what is the constant theme? And it's sort of like this world of possibilities. If you give hope to the hopeless, anything's possible. That you can move mountains, you can change an entire world. That's kind of what the original Mirror is about. How Kirk's influence on Spock, which pays off directly here. They say
in this episode,
this chance encounter where your Kirk and our Spock met for like a day, not even. It changed our Spock forever. He changed the entire friggin' Terran Empire, and then it led to them getting taken over, and here we are. And O'Brien gives this moving speech in this episode about, you know, if there's got to be something better than this, something better than what we get here. That like, but I've never.
what if history was different?
What if history was different? What if I was given an opportunity to be something else? I can be, you know, and Cisco sort of awakens to that notion in this episode.
And it's a question of are these people in the Mirror Universe a product of their environment or of history? Like is it like a moment in history that where, like, you know, it was an alternate universe that was branched off? And I wish they, you know, like that's the furthest back event we know of the Mirror Universe is from the first contact moment that happened in the Enterprise episode. So is that the moment where where it broke
I don't
off?
think so.
And if, it'd be cool to see where that happened or why it happened, or if Star Trek explored that.
I always had this feeling like the Terran Empire, the Mirror Universe, is a version like where the Roman Empire kind of expanded to all of Earth, because Terra is like the Roman word, and they're very Roman-esque in the way they do things. So I always had the feeling like they have a similar history, but they said even Phlox mentions in the Enterprise episode that Shakespeare was as dark in both universes, but not the same. And so it's still the histories diverge even further back, but there's sort of a common thread of like the Terrans are kind of inherently evil and they are different than.
It's like this is the universe where there was no Jesus Christ, and then so the Romans never, the collapse of the Roman Empire never happened, and like all these different things.
Well, I think this is a universe that is 100% about power. Whoever's in power is dictating everything.
They have an emperor. I mean, literally. In this, it's an intendant. I don't know why. Why is she the intendant, Dave?
She's just the leader of the
sector.
She's not the emperor of
the alliance.
It's like a local.
Who's the leader of the alliance?
It turns out to be Worf, but he isn't here yet. So
but that's who they make it.
He's the regent, so it's actually
the regent.
Regent's actually the ruler of the entire alliance. Yeah.
And I know like later on we come back, so the Terran Empire kind of starts coming back, right? At a certain point. And this is later in later episodes.
Well, eventually, so this is the beginning of this Terran rebellion. That will presume they build their own Defiant, and it's to presume that they kind of maybe formed some new version of a Terran Empire or Terran Federation or something.
Yeah, but it's an interesting. I do agree with you though, Kevin, that it's about power, but it's also about kind of what happens to humanity when you're in an environment where everybody is devious, and when everybody is kill or be killed. It's like the Game of Thrones. It's that same concept of let's see, so they'll throw all these people in a pit and see who comes out. And that's kind of the Mirror Universe in a lot of ways. It's the Wild West, which is was very natural. I mean, we have a picture of Sisko holding a literal gun from the Old West basically in this scene. I think that was very natural for DS9 to do, because they had the promenade and they had the whole Western motif already. So I don't know, it works. It really works this episode. Is there anything else, guys, you guys want to kind of bring up that stood out?
Sure.
What do you got, Dave?
Well, I want to talk about the fact that Sisko, he was her sex slave too, the intendant.
Right.
And I don't think the intendant's a product of her environment. She seems to be fundamentally different than the Kieran Reese of the Prime universe. Is in that.
But is that nurture or nature?
I can't. I just think they're two different people, completely, by nature.
They grew up in two different universes.
Yeah. But if they had lived each other's life, they wouldn't be each other. I think that it's that speech from Nemesis that Data gives to Picard, which is one of maybe the better parts of Nemesis. Even B4 is identical to me, but even if he had lived my life, he would not be me. He's still somebody else, right? And so there's sort of that existential idea.
I don't know if we want to be quoting Star Trek Nemesis. For screenwriting and
not I'm bringing up Babylon 5 here.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ!
Which are in peace, Mira Furlan, Babylon 5 actress who died last week. Very sad. Delenn, she was Delenn, Ambassador Delenn.
I do like the intendant though. I love this character. I think she acts the shit out of this.
She does
all throughout.
Yeah, I think she was probably happy to get something other than just angry Kira.
And I love she's delighted by everything. I love that she's delighted. She's like, oh, you know how to manipulate me. I love that one.
Yeah.
No, she's really great. She's she thought it was cute what Kira was trying to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, watching this back and the first time through, you don't know what to make of the attendant. You know, you're kind of sizing her up as you're going, but knowing who she is long term and all the things she will do and all the people she will murder, she is incredibly terrifying. And even how Nana Visitor, is it Nana or Nana? I never know. Is it Nana Visitor?
I always said Nana.
I always say Nana. I think it is Nana, but who cares?
Nana Visitor. She's so good in this, both parts of this. Like, even my favorite, she goes like, "I'm a little bit scared of you," and like, who wrote this? Like, how did they write? How did
she's
they?
Like, I don't want your fear. She's like, I want your love. You know?
Yeah, like she's so crazy and so, but and sadistic, and just when she's like, take Bashir, I want his cries to carry out throughout the promenade in the warning, you know, and you're just like, fuck, do not mess with her.
Yeah. And when she kills Quark too, she's like, what does she say? She says like, make it a quick death or something like that.
You're like, no,
yeah, mercy, please.
Yeah,
it was Move Along Home all over again. He probably went back to his script notes on that episode. He was like, what do I gotta do? Grovel for my life?
Grovel for your life, or grovel like you're having to choose who dies, like you did in that one.
Well, okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Mirror Universe Quark here, because like, why is Quark kind of like, he's the one with the heart? He's the one that doesn't care about profit. There's no gold plus latinum.
Well, that's the whole point. Like, everyone's a little bit different in this world. They're not they're not the same people. You're not the same person. Right? Like,
he got a great line in this episode when he was talking to Garrick and he said, "I'm just a simple bartender."
Yeah. Just a simple bartender. And then he tries to whip out the gun and shoot them.
Great line for them to put in for him to say to Garrick, who's constantly just saying, I'm a simple tailor.
Right.
Simple
So
tailor,
he's
yeah.
kind of the Garrick of this side.
And yeah, like Garrick and Quark are almost polar opposites from their mirror universe selves. I mean, in a lot of ways, Garrick could have been Garrick in the mirror universe maybe like 10 years ago, you know, when he was, you know, paladin up at the Obsidian Order. But here he's like kind of like, he's like the second in command of the station, trying to top the ladder. And Quark is like helping out the humans, has sympathy, has empathy, doesn't care about only himself. He seems to care about other, you know, things and causes, which is again a polar opposite of what we have in the main universe.
Well, but Quark did help Bajorans, or at least he sold them food, and he did certain things to try to be nice to them, right? When he was
right, but did he help any of them escape and stuff?
No, I don't think he ever went
right.
that far.
No, he was just selling them food to make profit.
Right. So he has different motivations, and he has different he seems like Kira says at one point, the only person I've met here that has any conscience basically is a troll. You know, named Quark, that tends the bar, you know. So like that does say something, because you know, you would think the Cardassians would be like peaceniks in this universe, you know. Wouldn't that have been funny? Like if they and all the Bajorans were like the Bajorans could have been like the bad guys, or like, you know, the more sinister type.
Yeah, this one
that would
just
be
goes to show that it doesn't matter what universe it is. Cardassians are Cardassians.
Yeah, Cardassians are always assholes.
Cardassians,
no matter what.
more or less. Yeah,
They
we
are
never
who
get
they
to
are.
mirror Golden Cot.
I thought we heard his voice, but I think it was Garrick's voice over the comm, but it sounded like Golden Cod's voice.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't.
But I had a question. You know, like this whole idea of the Klingon Cardassian alliance, like feels like it's out of left field, right? Like, you know, like they'll go on to do the Klingon Cardassian War, and last week in that episode, Garrick talked about a novel where the Klingons and the Cardassians are war in the future, which is kind of a foreshadow to season 4, right? But this is like, the Cardassians were a relatively new antagonist at this point, right? And like they'd only been introduced in Next Generation a couple years earlier, whereas the Klingons were an older adversary to Starfleet and the Federation, right?
And the Romulans too.
Yeah, and the Romulans. And so this idea of like bringing the Klingons and the Cardassians together more and more, like, what do you make of that? You think it was like just like a really smart move for D6 to do?
Yeah, I think they knew like the Klingons are obviously like a warrior type class. We have the Cardassians are kind of like an empire. I think it made a lot of sense to kind of introduce, like, it seems like D6 made an effort to not have as much Romulan stuff, and because I feel like Next Gen like had just beat you over the head with the Romulan stuff. D6 also never did a Borg episode.
No.
And so those are a few things that they left out, and they did not do.
Okay, so they were like, we're gonna stick away from the Borg stuff because that will be Voyager's terrain.
Yeah.
We're gonna let them
Well, it would have been tougher for them to do more species because they're on a space station. They're stationary. They're not going places really. And so it also allowed them to do a deeper dive on the Cardassians and the Bajorans, unfortunately, and the people there, right? Like,
I feel like with D6 we learn more about Earth than the other two series by far as well. Like we go to Earth more too.
When in D6
Yeah.
Been in Next Gen?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
I
Pretty
think
close.
you only see Starfleet headquarters in Next Gen generally.
Yeah, I don't think that when they do go to Earth in Next Gen, they usually don't go down to Earth. Like if they do come back to Earth, they do a little bit, but not a ton, not as much as they do in Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine,
And if they do go down, mostly it's to Starfleet headquarters.
right?
Yeah, and D6 will go to New Orleans. They'll go to, obviously, they go to San Francisco, but I think they go to other places on Earth as well. When they're, I don't exactly remember, but I do feel like they do go back there more. There's a few investigations did they ever go to Paris? I don't know, but that's a good question. We'll have to find that out as we keep watching this. But okay, so anything else? Like, do you guys like the title for this episode, crossover?
Well, I think it's just it's whatever.
Manavit Nana visitor says it in this episode.
Does she? Yeah.
Yeah, she says. I think it's actually the intendant who says it. The last time somebody crossed over, this is the way they got back with the transporters. Which they never try the transporters in this episode. They do later on figure out a way to make the transporters work. But which I always found interesting in this episode, that the whole episode seems to be about transporters. O'Brien, you know about transporters, and Quark, can you guys a transporter? And everything's about transporters. And then you're right, Dave. The landing of this episode is like, let's just fly through the wormhole and we'll just calibrate this. We'll hit a few buttons here. We'll go to the same speed, and Bob's your
even worse than that, Jeff. Okay, this whole ending is like. But like, even if they turn the tables on the intended, I buy that they get out of Quarks. I buy that they get even to the runabout and they're flying out on the runabout, right? But once they get out of the runabout, there's no tractor beam on them for whatever reason. Let's assume there's a sabotage or something. Okay, but then it's a 3-hour drive from Bajor to the wormhole, right? Like it's not quick. They set this up over and over again. They tell us this over and over again that you can't get from Bajor to the wormhole very quickly.
Why?
Because you have to travel at impulse.
The
station hasn't moved because they don't know about the wormhole.
Yeah.
Why do they not know about the wormhole?
They say at the beginning, when she says we came through the wormhole, they say, you came through what? Like they don't.
Yeah, I know.
And then they don't elaborate on it.
Why would the station be that close to the wormhole?
But maybe they don't call it the wormhole. Maybe they call it something else.
No, they don't know about it.
They get through,
why wouldn't they know about it?
And they're like, the station's not there, and they say the sensor shows that it's orbiting Bajor, and they were confused about that. So
why don't they know? Why don't they know the wormhole's there though?
Because they haven't. Like what? The Cardassians and the Bajorans didn't know until Cisco found it.
Yeah, but why? they never went through this piece of space? They never discovered this?
They didn't, because the Denorius belt was there. They don't go near the Denorius belt. They set that up in the pilot.
They're 10 seconds away from it by runabout.
I don't know. I don't make the rules. So it's what it is, but wait, it's worse than that. Then once they get after they don't get tractor beamed, they before they get their 5-second flight to the wormhole from the station, they're attacked by a Klingon battle cruiser. Again, they're only in a runabout. They're like, oh, our shields are at 60%. Oh, our shields are at 40%. Oh, by the way, we have a leaky neutrino or something. Boom, boom, we're in the wormhole. Okay, good, we're home.
Yeah.
That's would you have rather them done this, Dave? Okay, they leave the station. Okay, and then it just shows a cut, and it goes 3 hours later, and then they made it to the wormhole.
No,
and would you have rather that?
They should have used they should have used the transporter to get home. The way they ultimately
should have used the transporter within the runabout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done.
They could have read it any way they wanted to. This was not the way.
Runabout transporter. Yeah.
Because you're not within the rules.
At the beginning of the episode, they make a point that Kira knows nothing about human idiots.
Yeah. She doesn't know who Kirk is somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also he says burying the hatchet and she has no idea what that means. But then at the very end of the episode, she says we've been through the Looking Glass. How does she know Luke Carroll and Adventures in Wonderland?
Yeah. Good question.
If she doesn't know burying the hatchet.
That would have been a much better line to have given Bashir, because Bashir's British.
Yes.
He would have understood that reference. That would have been a much better line for Bashir.
And when he said that, everybody could have rolled their eyes and gone, "Oh God, Bashir!"
I can't wait to read your report, Bashir.
Yeah, I can't wait to read your report all about how you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, he wrote
that what it
Peggy's vote on his hand, and he put it on the screen.
Yeah, Peggy's vote. So I do think they make the mistake there sometimes. I think Nana Visitor had enough to do in this episode that last line would have been better had they given it.
That's why they give it to her, though, because they're like, well, it's really your episode.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah, Nana, you did so good this episode. We're gonna give you the final line. We're gonna let you go out here. Even though you know nothing about Earth history, you do a reference from a 1950s book. That's not even told through the Looking Glass. Anyway, are we good? Have we kind of said what we wanted to say here?
Jeff, are you in a hurry?
Well, at least we're up to nothing. At least we're up to nothing. Dave, you guys didn't get a single shot in the first period. Just so you know, not a single shot.
Well, then you got nothing to worry about, Jeff. I'm not worried.
We're up to nothing. You threw 6 hits though. Your team threw 6 hits. I'll give you that.
We're working on it. We're coming. We're slow starters. We'll come. Don't
worry. Your name is Smiley, and I want to call you Smiley.
Yeah. Okay. And he'll become really important.
Smiley,
most important man in Mirror Starfleet.
In Mirror Starfleet history. That's right. Okay, so are we ready for a little double F with Jay?
Yes,
sure.
Always.
Do we have to call it that?
Yes, we do.
Well, you could call it FF with Jay too, but I like the double F with Jay. Okay, fun facts. Fun facts with Jeff. Another edition here, season 2, episode 23. Crossover. We're here talking about the Mirror Universe. Writer Robert Hewitt Wolf, Dave, and Kevin and Ashley wrote the fall of the Terran Empire into the script as an analogy for the fall of the Roman Empire to barbarians and the Chinese dynasty to the Mongols. He also wanted to illustrate that if an empire is as brutal as the Terran Empire was in Star Trek Mirror, there was probably reasons why it was so brutal, and he wished to convey the message that in such circumstances, one cannot change things overnight, and even the actions of Captain Kirk can have severe consequences.
Wow.
Well, it's a lot of deep thought into
Yeah,
into this episode.
It's kind of counter Star Trek, isn't it?
a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
it is
mirror
a little
Star
bit.
Trek.
That's why it's Mirror Universe. Mirror Odo's uniform sports a belt, which Rene Auberjonois liked so much that he began using it in his regular series
let's
Odo
talk
uniform
about
as
this.
well.
I forgot.
This was
It's a uniform trivia, so Dave's all about it.
Okay.
when he started liking Kira, and Kira was like, "I like you with a belt," and he started wearing the belt, right?
Not even just the belt, the collar. Let's look at this collar that we see here on Odo, which it looks so much better for him as like this policeman character. It suits it so much better. This is season 2, so he still mostly has been rocking this necklace version. The belt is good too, but more so than just the belt is the higher collar. Yes, Jeff. Thank you. That was an excellent plug. Continue.
Thank you. I live to bring Dave fun facts about uniforms.
Yes.
This episode is listed as being one of the 10 essential episodes of Star Trek DS9 in a book called Star Trek 101.
It's essential.
An essential episode. For the milk bath sequence, guys, we haven't talked about this. Kira, Nana visitor in a bathtub. The crew made sure that the bath was nice and hot for Nana visitor, and even put a few drops of orange oil on it, so the water had a nice smell. It even softened her skin. But during rehearsal, she felt the cones hiding her nudity starting to pop off. So she asked her makeup artist what takes the glue off the cones, and her answer was orange oil.
Okay.
So you're saying that the oil they put in there took off her nudity pics.
Yeah, so she was wearing those like breast cups that cover your nipples, and when she was in the water, the orange oil ripped that glue right off.
Okay.
Okay. Unlike the regular Odo guys who finds weapons distasteful, Mirror Odo carries a Bajoran phaser pistol.
Yeah.
He's a mirror. He's so different.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, he just stood there while he got shot.
Right. That wouldn't happen regularly. He would have turned into.
In mirror universe, Odo gets shot. In Prime universe, the guy standing next to Odo gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the opening teaser, after Kira and Julian emerge from the wormhole into the Alpha Quadrant, the wormhole opens upside down.
I wouldn't have even noticed.
Never noticed.
I didn't notice either.
There's an upside.
That's a cool thing.
So that makes you maybe everything in the mirror universe is like literally like reversed. Like everything's up that's up here is down there. Like Australia,
like
maybe Australia is in the north. Yeah, maybe Australia's in the northern hemisphere.
Maybe.
And yeah. Okay. Okay. After crossover aired, there was a great deal of discussion about how sexy and alluring the Nav visitor was as the intendant, with the costume she wore garnering a great deal of attention. According to costume designer Robert Blackman, the general consensus among fans was that it was the revealing nature of her costume which gave visitor this new level of seductiveness.
No, it was all attitude.
I agree. It wasn't what she was wearing.
I don't think it was the outfit at all. Like
no, not at all. It's the way she walked, the attitude, the confidence, and just kind of the guys like crazy a little bit.
I think this costume is good, but I don't think it's like the pants are at the time were kind of a different look for the time. But like I don't think
are they talking about that, or are they talking about the dress she was wearing later on?
I think they're talking about this.
I think maybe a combination of both, though.
But what I really think about
both
with the intendant, it's like this headpiece she wears, like this little crown that I think like she always wears it. You always know if you're looking at intended or Prime Kira because of this, really.
Yeah.
They couldn't put a goatee on her.
No.
I thought that would have been awesome if she had a goatee.
Yeah.
Hypersexual with a goatee, but nobody wants her. Like
Right.
everybody's
Or
like, come on,
Steve.
shave. Like
And-
Jesus.
And Jadzia is like this bookworm that is like that doesn't want sex with anybody. Okay. Prior to the establishment of the history of the televised Mirror Universe, a mirror version of O'Brien appeared in the novel Dark Mirror, depicting a mirror universe in which the Terran Empire had survived well into the 24th century. That version of O'Brien served as a officer aboard the ISS Enterprise from 2364 until at least 2367.
Yeah, and this is whole thing about the mirror universe too is like I don't really understand. Like in some ways, it's very similar. Like we see that the Cardassians are more or less the same, and the Klingons seem like they're more or less the same. And we'll see in Discovery that really it's almost like, but that the Klingons in that time were more like humans and were trying to like create almost like a federation. But that's Discovery. Which
Yeah,
we're
we
going
don't talk
to
about
do on Mirror Radio Theater this Friday night, which we're going to cover some of that subject matter. So isn't that exciting?
No. Okay, so the knife wielded by the Terran knocked over by Telok was a Klingon tool designed by Rick Sternbach for the Blood Oath episode, which we watched a couple episodes.
I don't think that's any more exciting than what I was talking about. Like Rick Sternbach.
Mine had to do with D6 9 and 9ish. Yours was stupid Discovery talk.
Keep going,
Okay.
Jeff. Tell me about Nana Visitor in this episode.
Nana Visitor had a lot to do with this episode. This was her episode, Dave.
Tell me about Nana. What did Nana do next? You have more nipple codes.
Yeah, the orange oil took her nipple codes off.
His inner admiral is coming out. Tell me more.
Tell me more about the nipple codes and the orange
You're
oil.
bored by talking about the future of Star Trek and
Tell me what Rick Sternbach and whatever he did.
okay, so Jake Sisko does not appear in this episode. Follow-ups would establish that not only was Jake Sisko, he was not even born in the Mirror Universe. He doesn't exist.
So here's the question: is the Mirror Universe better than the Prime Universe for this alone?
As long as there's no Alexander, I think there's a strong case to be made.
I don't dislike Cisco. I just like his outfits. Jake.
You're a fan of Jake?
Yeah, he's fine. I don't
Yeah,
want
he is.
a fan. but
He's not
fine.
great for the first 2 seasons, but once he becomes like the journalist, I really like him.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One season
I
is better.
have that same, but I don't love Jake Sisko. He's not like a character. If we never saw Jake Sisko again, it would be fine. He's kind of like he's attached to Captain Sisko. Without Captain Sisko, there is no Jake Sisko to me.
Yeah,
That's
I'm never
true, and
like,
he's the-
awesome a Jake episode. I'm never like that. Like,
He's the only character of all the Star Trek captains that like is family that comes along with the captain. Like,
Yeah.
Janeway doesn't have anybody, Picard doesn't have anybody,
But Picard had West.
just coming along with him. But that's not his real son or anything. Like,
Close enough. But Wesley was also a separate character from Beverly, right? Like they had this parent-child relationship, but he acted independently in ways Jake never quite achieved. But anyway, you never miss him in an episode, I find.
all right. Okay, so John Cothran, who played Telok, also played Gralak Dur in an episode of Enterprise called The Shipment. He also played a guy named New Doc in the Next Gen episode called The Chase.
I know that one. I remember when he played New Doc.
In the Mirror Universe, Quark tells Garak he is a simple bartender when accused of running illegal operations. This is a joke based on Garak's unusual claim that he is a simple tailor.
That's Telok, the guy you talked about. He was the
Telok. I was calling him Telok.
I had a picture.
Okay, and we just got a few more here. Okay, the Star Trek universe revisits the Mirror Universe for the first time since Mirror. Next Gen never did. Although similar parallel universes were viewed in the episodes of Next Gen called, obviously Yesterday's Enterprise, Parallels. So the Mirror Universe would return in follow-up episodes of this series, one story arc on Enterprise and one story arc on Discovery. Okay. This is the only Mirror Universe episode in which the crossover is made via the Bajoran wormhole. All subsequent episodes show the crossover being made by the way of a specifically adapted transporter. The non-canon novel Fearful Symmetry claims this is because the crossover in this episode was a deliberate attempt by the prophets to connect the two universes. What do you think about that?
Well,
Whatever.
they used the mycelial network in Discovery to cross into the mirror universe as well. So there's more than one way to get there.
I think I'm with Kevin. Okay. In the mirror universe, Kira plays an evil commander of Terok Nor. Not only is that the same role as Gul Dukat, but the mirror Kira personality is exactly the same as Dukat. She blames her underlings for being too harsh, and that's why she loses Terok Nor, just like Dukat when he describes why Cardassia left Bajor. She tries to seduce others to get what she wants, like Dukat did as commander of Terok Nor, and even fathered a child from it, Tora Ziel. The mirror Kira switches sides and plays political games to always be on what she believes is the winning side, or to gain advantage, just like Dukat did throughout the series.
I never picked up on that, and that's incredible.
She's kind of crazy, but also wants to just be loved and adored. Just like Dukat.
I never put that together before.
I wonder if that was like an inspiration for like either None of Visitors' performance or the writing, or like if they wanted to make that connection already. Like, because I think they knew they were going to use Dukat quite a bit, right? So
yeah. Well, here's a theory. Like, we know that in the original Mirror that Kirk became captain of the ISS Enterprise by killing Captain Pike, right? Yes. So perhaps that Kira served under Dukat in this universe and then killed him to become the commander of Terok Nor.
Do we ever get to see the Mirror Dukat?
No, he's never shown. So he might be dead. So
yeah.
And they never mention him either. Like we have no idea about Dukat in Mirror Universe.
It would make sense if he's just out of the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and that's it, guys. I think we are done for F with J.
All right. Okay, and let's do some ratings here. Start with Kevin.
For me, mostly because of the scene with Bashir and her at the beginning, I'm going a perfect 10.
Okay. Ashley, you're up.
9.2.
Okay, Jameel's not with us, but he can always retroactively put his scores in. Jeff,
I'm gonna go 9.8.
Okay, I'm not as high as you guys. I'm going like 8.4.
The ending
ruined it for him.
The ending's kind of So anyway, that's pretty high though.
It's 3 hours.
They ignore that 3 hour thing a lot when it serves to.
When it serves it, yeah.
Why did they just make it a half hour away? Why did they have to make it?
I don't know.
You know,
they write these weird things into their world, and then they write around them when they don't like them. Like, it's just.
Well, I think
sometimes it takes a half a week to get from Bajor to the wormhole, and sometimes it's like 5 minutes.
When did they establish that it's 3.5 hours? Was it when
the first episode? The first episode.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they say it more over and over again. And
yeah. They really remind you of it too much. Yeah, they really should have just like
coming on complain about the length of time if they're coming from Bajor and
right, because they want to write that into their storylines anyway. But it lost some points for me. They just don't do it that way. That's all. Like, find another way home if you're going to.
Yeah, I think they should have used the runabout transporter, and then they could have avoided the whole battle with the Klingon ship, and they could have avoided that whole sequence.
Yeah.
I think that would have been better. There's also no explanation as to why the wormhole did this. If the prophets were involved whatsoever, or what was going on.
And they never
a lot.
Yeah.
They do that a lot. They end episodes without explanation and do it quickly because they just run out of time. They've got so much story they want to tell that they're just like, the ending's not important. We're back next week.
They needed to have They needed Nana visitor in a tub. That's what they needed that in this episode.
Yeah.
There's only so much time. Okay, so next week, guys, we are doing what's our episode?
The Collaborator.
A Collaborator, which is about Vedic Morales targeted by fellow Kai candidate Vedic Win. Oh, we get all the great Bajoran stuff.
Is this? I can't remember. Is this good? Am I going to enjoy this?
I watched it the other day. Was the Vedic Morales stuff kind of sucks, but I feel like Vedic Win's pretty good.
This is where she does her power move and takes power and becomes the Kai, which sets up a lot of the next few years.
And Kira's mad about it because she was banging Vedic Morale.
Right.
She's like, he should have been Kai.
She would have been the first lady of Kais.
Right. She would have been the first Kai, if you will.
Kai consort or something. I don't know. I don't make the titles, Jeff. I'm not in charge of the title.
How many episodes are there in season 2? Is that 25 or something? 26.
I know. We're not. I thought like, oh, we must be winding down on season 2. Nope, we got like another 4 or 5 weeks.
Is this the longest season of Star Trek? It's gotta be
26, aren't they?
Yeah, almost all the seasons of Deep Space Nine are 25 or 26 episodes.
But I feel like Next Gen is not 26.
I think Next Gen was 24.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up, but there's it's in that ballpark.
These early seasons just seem longer. They just
they knew they had to get to 100 episodes.
So season 2 of Next Gen only got to 22 episodes. So they're doing 4 more episodes than Next Gen did.
Would you say that this is better than the second season of Next Gen? Like just on, even though we haven't kind of gone through on Next Gen, but
I think season 2 of Deep Space Nine is better than season 2 of Next Gen.
Yeah, I would agree with that because season 2 of Next Gen, you got Nurse Fuckface over there. So yeah,
her name's not Nurse Fuckface. It's Dr. Pulaski.
It's Dr. Fuckface.
It's Dr. Fuckface.
You got Dr. Fuckface. Nobody liked Dr. Fuckface. And so season 2 hurts.
Come on, the Borg was introduced. The Q.
Come on, she hates everybody. Like literally the first season, first episode with Dr. Pulaski, she's like fucking ragging on Data, and she's like fucking such a bitch.
It didn't work out with her.
I just watched one of her original series episodes, and she's a fucking bitch in that too. Like she's awful.
Yeah. I don't think in real life they liked her either.
Is that the episode where like it's the alien like big rock thing?
Look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
she's in a few.
Yeah, the Medusans.
And she's blind. She's in another episode. I don't remember which one. I know she's in 2 in the original series.
Yeah, I think she plays 2 different characters.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so that's what we have coming up next week. Dave, what we got coming up on all of our platforms here? What do you got coming up tomorrow?
Well, we got stuff coming up, Jeff. Tomorrow, here, Wednesday, we'll be talking about Star Trek, the original series, like we do every week. Or at least when you weren't there last week, but are you coming tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Great. We're doing season 1, episode 1, the pilot with Kirk, the second pilot actually, where no man has gone before. Covering that one. That's the one where Gary Mitchell and the other officer, Elizabeth, I think her name is, they try to take over the ship. They got silver eyes and all that. So check out that. We'll be covering that with my dad, our dad, and Adam Woodward and Jody Simpson tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're doing our next episode of Star Trek Radio Theater, Jeff. We're going to be continue our mirror universe, which is fitting with this Deep Space Nine discussion tonight, as we're going to be doing our first time ever doing Star Trek Discovery, Vaulting Ambition, which is kind of in the middle of this whole random mirror universe adventure they went through the back half of first season of Discovery. It's actually the shortest runtime. I didn't realize this when we picked it, but it actually is it's only a 36-minute runtime compared in the episode compared to like a standard 45 minutes. So yeah, and so Jeff, you're gonna be playing Lieutenant Stamets and Lieutenant Stamets. Yep, that's right, Jeff. And
He's watching the hockey.
That'll be yeah. I'm watching the highlights. Yeah.
well, I know the Flames just scored because my buzzer went off. So
Yeah, it's 2-1.
Yeah,
It was also Johnny Gaudreau scored though, Dave, who I have in the fantasy against you this week.
Okay,
So
well then,
even when I'm losing, I'm winning.
there you go. But Jeff, we got Adam Woodward who's going to be there, first time ever playing Saru. Ashley, you're in it. You're going to be playing Tilly.
Yes.
The Leafs just scored 3-1.
And Laurel.
To speak Klingon.
You get to speak Klingon, and then I'm going to be Ash Tyler / Vok. I'm going to be also speaking Klingon. I'll be like, Kalish, I follow Tukuvma. You gotta growl like you got these.
Do it. Just random Klingon words.
Rah 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 rah. It's just
into everything with rah 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 rah.
Rah, 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 rah. My wife Jane's going to be playing Michael Burnham. Who you'll notice doesn't have any rank at this point because this is while she's disgraced war criminal Michael Burnham before she gets her pardon, her presidential pardon at the end of season 1.
Oh my god, this fucking show!
Can't wait. And Jeff, we also have trivial debates, which I have not scheduled. I have to do trivial debates. We're coming to the end of January, which actually means I have to do this weekend. I have to get this together in the next 5 days. So somebody help me. And we're going to get it together probably on Sunday. So someone's going to be there. Someone will be debating something. Get ready.
What? I'm not ready.
You better get ready. All right. Well, that's it. Superman
That's it. Okay. Well, for all of us here at Live Long and Podcast and Deuce 9 at 9ish. Live long and podcast.